St. Patrick's 2005. Dan Sheehan was the Grand Marshal. In the Irish community, men plot sometimes for decades, always for years, to be the Grand Marshal. 2004 was to be Dan Sheehan's year, but Father Ware, God rest his soul, the first ever chaplain of the parade in 1973, was growing feeble, and there was concern that he would not be Grand Marshal if it didn't happen in 2004.
He's anticipated and longed for this day.
Yes, he has.
His old friend, Mr. Sheehan, stepped aside. Bishop McDonough noted the gracious gesture in his homily in the great cathedral on the St. Patrick's Day that belonged to Grand Marshal Ware.
Let's applaud these two gracious great Irishmen, Father Ware and Dan Sheehan.
Sheehan was a cinch for 2005.
This is y'all's moment, okay? This is your moment.
It was cold and gray on that Thursday, March 17th, a year forward, Sheehan's parade. Garrison Keillor said that God makes days like these so people who don't drink will know what a hangover looks like. Sheehan was a great marshal, raucous and tough and old-school Irish. He shook every hand and kissed every baby on the corner of Liberty and Abercorn. Sheehan had that great heart mixed with a backroom cigar-smoking quality, and the people loved him for it. Marching behind the marshal, the Old Guard Fife and Drum Corps took measured steps down the center of the street. A small gap followed the Redcoats, and into it walked Charlie Ray, Grand Marshal in 1989. A very certain parade adjutant, one Chat Howard, had schooled me on parade fundamentals once upon a time. We march for our Grand Marshal, he said, without a hint of doubt. That honor still drips from past Grand Marshal Charlie Ray, whose son Jimmy is one of our announcers, along with Sonny and Tommy Brunson. I was directing the parade, and because we all love Mr. Ray, and Jimmy's one of our guys, I took the shot of him a little earlier than I normally would. Charlie Ray was a prisoner of war in World War II, a sweet man who can blow kisses to the crowd with sincerity and charm. As he made the turn, he was coaxing applause from the crowd for his presence, then abruptly cutting it off with his hands to the delight of the revelers.
Here he is, that's my dad. Look at him.
Then he made his way to St. Vincent's Corner, where our coverage was anchored. When these guys get old and frail, you can pull a picture from March 17th and the stretch of street between Lafayette Square and the Oaks of Liberty, and you can look at them on that day and know that they had their moment in the sun. Charlie Ray frolicked long enough to fall a little behind his car, and he gave a little startled look as he hustled to catch up.
Don't lose your car.
Bob, you're holding up your parade.
From the stand, Sonny and Tommy joined in the fun.
Who's this fellow walking in front of the cathedral? Looks
I
like
don't
he's
know.
lost.
Gray-headed old gentleman here appears to be lost.
Then a short litany of the Ray family's roots in the neighborhood. 3 boys and Nancy.
God bless them having Nancy. I swear, without it, it would have been terrible.
And then Mr. Ray looked up at the stand where Sonny and Tommy and Jimmy were sitting and spoke his whole heart to the air that connects that sacred space.
There's my little boy up there. Hey, Jimbo! Y'all be careful up, Tom.
His little boy was 55 that year, a Marine in his youth and still looking much the part, tough, fit, strong.
Top of the morning to you, sir.
Not to Charlie, though. To Charlie, he was Jimbo, the pudgy baby rolling around on the floor in the den on Liberty Street. It was Mr. Ray's last parade. He wouldn't make it to 2006, or to see Jimbo elected Grand Marshal 3 Sundays ago.
Calling my mama.
Apart from Sonny, Tommy Brunson is the city's best storyteller.
Hey, this is the marshal speaking.
The richness of the Savannah experience is complete in him. Poor Irish in his downtown boyhood, and then fighting his way to success. He went to Benedictine. All of the Irish went to Benedictine, a rite of passage. Every year they talk about the polish of the belt buckles and the shine of the shoes and the razorness of the formation. And their boyhood lives again. Just after Mr. Ray walked by in 2005, Tommy was talking about growing up in the shadow of the cathedral, and that in the late afternoon, when the cathedral bells played the Angelus, his mama would know that she was late getting home. The Angelus. Voices of the angels. At the pealing of 3 bells, the faithful recite prayers. Since at least the 11th century. Imagine it. everywhere Rome carried the faith, at the evening hour under a golden sun, 3 chimes would be added to the texture of the day. To Mrs. Brunson's little boy, it meant that Mama would be home soon, a memory carried into his deep years. The gathered party on the Feast of St. Patrick this year won't understand the spirit seeping into them on that same sacred ground. The soft whisper in the bells and the blessings and the pageantry of Savannah's best day. The spirit that defines a city. The spirit that makes an old man point to a television platform the last time he'll ever walk down that street and say,
There's my little boy up there. Hey, Jimbo.